Navigating the winding road that cuts through the dense forest on the hillside proves to be quite a challenge for the car to maintain speed. The dark night shrouded in thick fog forced me to slow down as I made my way along the road, feeling drowsy from the late hour of nearly 2 in the morning. It's a route I often take when heading back to my hometown, but the eerie occurrences at the bend of the road always give me chills. On multiple occasions, travelers passing by after midnight have reported encountering a mysterious woman carrying a child on her back as they round the corner. The unsettling sight is always followed by a bone-chilling scream before the woman vanishes into the trees at the edge of the bend. While I have never personally witnessed this apparition, my friend Owen swears he saw her walking with her head bowed during a light rain, prompting him to stop his car to avoid a collision. After safely crossing the road, the woman supposedly descended into a ravine behind a large tree, leaving Owen startled by the echoing scream that followed her disappearance. The locals have since dubbed the area Lady with Baby Bend Road, in reference to the ghostly woman and her child. When Owen excitedly shared his encounter with me, I couldn't help but recall the tragic tale my grandmother once told me about a young woman who lost her life while giving birth. A story that still haunts the memories of those who travel the Bend Road at night. According to my grandmother, in the past, there was a belief that women who died while giving birth were actually vampires. She vividly described the rituals performed on the deceased women's bodies to prevent them from turning into these mythical creatures. As she reminisced, she mentioned that a needle would be inserted into the finger, gold would be placed in the mouth, and an egg would be positioned under the armpit. These practices were carried out because the elders genuinely feared the corpse of a woman who died during childbirth. They firmly believed that if the 10 fingers were not pierced with a needle, the woman's fingernails would grow abnormally long during the embalming process. Additionally, without gold in the mouth, the corpse would faint, and without an egg under the armpit, it would mysteriously levitate. Reflecting on these superstitions, I couldn't help but think how much people used to believe in such nonsensical ideas. It filled me with a sense of regret for the beliefs and practices that prevailed in the past. As my grandmother recounted the tale, she described a scene where a village midwife, known for welcoming newborn babies, was unable to save a woman due to severe convulsions. The woman's blood spilled so profusely that it seeped into the cracks of the floor, leaving a haunting image. In a desperate attempt to save her, the midwife instructed the woman's husband to place a tree thorn under the house where she convulsed. Without hesitation, the husband followed her instructions, only to witness blood flowing from the spot where the thorn was inserted. Rushing back inside, the husband was startled to hear commotion under the house, discovering chickens pecking at scattered food. To his horror, he found a pile of intestines resembling a cow's stomach rope thrown against his wife's bed. The chickens, mistaking it for food, began pecking at the intestines. Determined to prevent this, the husband quickly intervened, ensuring that the intestines were not consumed by the chickens. With the break of dawn, the husband realized he had not yet fed the chickens, prompting them to eagerly devour the intestines that had fallen from the house. The eerie events that unfolded painted a vivid picture of desperation and chaos, leaving a lasting impression on those who heard the tale. The husband's astonishment was palpable as he witnessed the grotesque sight of a human head, firmly attached to a thorn, greedily lapping up the flowing blood while its intestines dangled down. It was only then that he realized the head's fixation on his wife's blood would not have been possible without the thorn serving as an anchor. Meanwhile, the midwife continued her incantations, fully aware of the supernatural forces at play. When the husband returned to the house, he had successfully tied the thorn to prevent any further escape. The devil, disguised as a human head, struggled in vain to free itself from the entangled intestines, trapped by the thorn's merciless grip. "What kind of creature lurks beneath my house?" the husband exclaimed, his mind filled with bewilderment as he encountered the sight of a human head dragging its twisted stomach strings. The head hung like a coconut, its intestines ensnared by the thorns. This explained why the head had chased away the chickens, who had pecked at the guts that had fallen to the ground. Determined to seek help, the husband called upon the neighbors who had gathered at their house. As they all descended, the human head's eyes flickered, observing those who surrounded it. However, their attempts to catch a glimpse of the head's face were thwarted by its incessant grumbling, as if it had been scorched by fire. The husband's anger grew exponentially as he realized that the head, dragging its entrails, was indeed the embodiment of the torment that had plagued his wife. He wasted no time and swiftly launched his attack, brandishing a machete in his hand as he mercilessly slashed at the intestines strewn across the ground. The sight of a human head hanging from a thorn did not deter him, as he continued his relentless assault. The air was filled with agonizing moans and groans, reminiscent of the cries of cows being slaughtered. No one dared to intervene or approach the enraged husband, fully aware of the intensity of his anger after his wife's failed delivery due to a breech position. Despite her pain, the wife valiantly struggled to endure until an excessive amount of blood was shed. Observing the human head beneath the house, the husband attributed his wife's misfortune to the devil, his voice filled with a gut-wrenching snarl that reverberated through the air. Eventually, the villagers managed to calm him down, only to witness the human head dragging the hacked-up intestines as a macabre reward for a rack of nuts. It was then that the midwife appeared at the window, delivering the devastating news of the wife's demise along with her unborn child. The midwife herself had previously advised that the wife's body be pierced with a 10-finger needle for embalming purposes. As a final tribute, a golden ring was placed in her mouth with an egg nestled beneath her armpit. However, every evening, a soft whisper could be heard emanating from the direction of the wife's grave, akin to the eerie cackle of a fox amidst the rustling fronds. Suddenly, I awoke abruptly from my sleep inside the vehicle. Checking the time, I realized it was 4 a.m., the early hours of the morning. Swiftly, I freshened up, splashing water on my face, and continued my journey towards my hometown. Fortunately, I didn't encounter any women walking along the road with a baby. The unsettling story my grandmother had shared sent chills down my spine, leaving me with a sense of fear as I traveled alone on the road. As I drove through the dimly lit and empty streets, the only sound being the gentle hum of my car engine, I couldn't shake off the feeling of uneasiness that hung in the air. The tale of the ghostly woman who would appear on the roadside with a baby in her arms continued to haunt my mind.